When you press send on a message, it feels as if it flies straight through the AIR. But the global internet takes a different path, down into the ground, through data centers, then across the ocean through strands of cable beneath the SEA. Optic cable is the backbone of the internet, fast, stable, and carrying enormous capacity. So, why does Starlink, with only one antenna looking up at the SKY, promise to deliver speeds faster than fiber optic in certain important ways? Why is that true? In reality, Starlink was not born to replace fiber optic cable in cities. It is strongest in places where fiber has not arrived, arrives too slowly, or costs too much to install. Welcome to Everyday Things Explained. Latency lives in the distance. Satellite internet existed long before Starlink, but traditional satellites usually sit in geostationary orbit, about 36,000 kilometers from Earth. Because of that, old generation satellite internet was often delayed. Video calls could stutter, and online gaming struggled to keep pace. The problem was not that the signal moved slowly, but that it had to travel a route far too long. Starlink chose the opposite direction, using thousands of small satellites in low Earth orbit, about 550 kilometers above the ground. The distance is dozens of times shorter, and latency drops sharply. But flying low means each satellite covers less area, so SpaceX needs many satellites operating at the same time. And Starlink becomes an industrial assembly line in orbit. Mass production in the sky. Starlink's strength is not only the satellites, but the way SpaceX produces, launches, and replaces them continuously. Instead of a few giant satellites, Starlink uses many smaller ones, cheaper and easier to upgrade. A lifespan of a few years is not necessarily a weakness. Old hardware leaves orbit, and new technology is sent up regularly. In a network of thousands of satellites, everything must be practical, lighter, cheaper, and easier to replace. When the network becomes dense enough, Starlink can appear almost anywhere with a clear view of the SKY, where fiber cannot reach. Fiber optic cable is still king in cities, data centers, and fixed routes. But it has to be pulled all the way to the place. A submarine cable route requires seafloor surveys, specialized ships, permits, construction, and maintenance over many years. Starlink needs a hardware kit, electricity, and a view up to the sky. That is why it is powerful in mobile or remote places. Ships in the middle of the ocean, aircraft, mountains, small islands, construction site, or areas after disasters. Fiber optic cable cannot run after a ship. A satellite can cover the entire journey. Starlink is also an important fallback line. When ground infrastructure is paralyzed, a connection from the sky can keep hospitals, rescue teams, and small communities in contact. But is there ever a moment when Starlink is truly faster than fiber? Yes, on some extremely long routes. Light inside fiber optic cable does not travel as fast as it does in a vacuum. It slows down when passing through glass. Submarine cables also do not always follow a straight line. They must bend around terrain, relay stations, and existing infrastructure. Meanwhile, Starlink satellites can transmit data to one another by laser in space. For intercontinental connections, a near straight path through orbit can sometimes be faster than a winding route under the SEA. But Starlink does not always win. At short distance, in dense population, and where massive capacity is needed, fiber optic cable still dominates. Starlink wins through flexibility. The price in the sky. An internet network flying around Earth also makes the sky more crowded. When first launched, many Starlink satellites reflected strong light, making astronomical observation more difficult. SpaceX adjusted the design to reduce brightness. Expired satellites are designed to fall into the atmosphere and burn up to limit space debris. Big technology also touches everyday life in small ways. The Starlink antenna has heating to melt SNOW. And in some freezing places, cats discovered that it makes a fairly ideal heated bed. No matter how high technology flies, in the end it still has to live with the ground. The next time you send a message, it may travel through cables beneath the SEA, through data centers, or through invisible laser beams between satellites in orbit. Optic cable gives the internet its strength. Starlink gives the internet a detour. And sometimes, that very detour becomes the fastest road. See you in the next videos of Everyday Things Explained.